Hey guys, day 18 of ELA. Today, we're just going to read one of those little stories that we read about yesterday. We read the myths. Remember, we read about two different ones. Does anyone remember the two different myths we read about? The little stories we read? One was about the father who was very greedy, took all the light away, and then what animal? Which is kind of weird because they were also part of our Peter Nimble book. What animal tricked the father into getting the light back? A raven, right? But we also read the second story about Thunderbird and Killer Whale. Okay, so we are going to complete this assignment. You're going to do page 83 in your activity book. It says myths 7.2 at the top, said myths from the Pacific Northwest. We are going to read it from my reader book, or what you can actually do is go to the next page on that, which is 85, and read with me. It's just these two, okay? And then we're going to answer 3 questions. Okay? I am going to read from the actual reader book. But before I read, remember what I usually do. I think that if we go over the questions for the answers, it'll be easier to look up the answers while we're reading, because then it'll hit us in the head like, oh, that's what they're asking, rather than reading it, then figuring out the questions, especially when there's only 3 questions. So these are the questions. Sometimes you might be able to remember what the answers already are without even reading the story. But that was yesterday, so I'm not sure how much we remember from it. The first question they're asking us to look for is, which character in Thunderbird and Killer Whale, the story we'll be reading, reflects the Native American values and beliefs about nature? Before we can answer that, we gotta kind of know what the values and beliefs of the Native Americans had towards nature. Did they love nature? Yes. And they'd always, big thing, it started with R, what would they do with nature? You always had to, there's a song about it, RESPECT, respect it, right? Because their beliefs about nature was what? If you respected it, what would it do to help the Native Americans? Help them survive. The buffalo would stay, or the buffalo would show back up. The berries and the roots and the vegetation would grow back. The trees would grow back so they could make houses and homes and so on, right? So their belief is they needed to, RESPECT, respect. Okay, so we're going to look for which animal, the killer whale or the thunderbird, that's respecting nature. The second question they're asking us is, what natural events are described and explained in the myth? So natural events are things like earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis, volcanoes, right? So we got to figure out which natural event. And then the last question they're asking us is, write a paragraph summarizing this passage using the core vocabulary and the words recede and vibration. We might be using those 2 words. We might be able to get a good solid summary out of it, but we'll see how we do on the first 2 first. Okay? So I'm going to read. Remember, the first thing is which character is respecting nature. And then the second one's what natural events are being described and explained. Let us begin. Thunderbird is a mythical creature common in most Pacific Northwest cultures. It is also a common theme on totem poles or ceremonial costumes. In most stories, Thunderbird was a kind and powerful creature who often helped people. The story of Thunderbird and Killer Whale appears in many tribal mythologies. Like many myths, this one was used to explain certain aspects of nature or the important events. There are two natural events or phenomena explained in this story. Can you tell what they are? So there's going to be two natural events or things that happen. Here's the story. One day, Killer Whale arrived in the waters and attacked all the other fish. Killer Whale was hungry, and he ate many fish. The fish he did not eat were so scared they swam away to the other waters. Then the people could not find any fish for themselves, and they began to starve. So this killer whale would eat all the fish. All the other fish were afraid of him, so all the other fish would swim away. Therefore, if the killer whale was next to the Native Americans in their area where they lived, what would happen to the fish? He would take them before the Native Americans could. Thunderbird was a big, mighty bird. His bright, colorful feathers were as long as canoe paddles, and his talons were like harpoons. When he flapped his great wings, the sound of thunder rumbled through the skies. One day, Thunderbird was flying along the coast. He looked down and saw that the people were starving. This made Thunderbird sad because he loved the people and did not want to see them suffer. He asked them why they did not have any fish, and the people told him about Killer Whale. This made Thunderbird very angry. Thunderbird found Killer Whale and swooped out of the sky. Thunderbird grabbed Killer Whale with his talons and tried to carry him away, but Killer Whale put up a fight. He wrestled free from Thunderbird's grasp and fell down into the ocean with a great splash. The splash was so big that it shook all the waters and even the land. The waters rose up and covered the land. Trees were ripped from the soil, houses were shattered, and many people died before the ocean waters receded. Now let's try to answer the first one. Which character in Thunderbird and Killer Whale reflects Native Americans' values and beliefs about nature? So, which one really cared about the Native Americans? Which one was sad that they were starving? Thunderbird, right? So, for number one, on your activity book, right here, page 83, here, number one should say, Thunderbird. We'll do a hyphen next to it. Now, a dash next to it. We gotta figure out what Thunderbird did. Now, what they're saying is cite evidence from the text. What citing evidence from the text means is that we have to take something that's actually in the text that tells us that, not an assumption or something we thought of. It actually has to come from the text. So, let's see what actually came from the text. Thunderbird looked down and saw that the people were starving. This made Thunderbird sad because he loved the people and did not want to see them suffer. He asked them why they did not have any fish, and the people told him about Killer Whale. This made Thunderbird mad. So, the evidence from the text says that Thunderbird was mad at Killer Whale for not sharing the fish. Okay? We could add a little bit more and actually cite it, which would be their exact sentence, but that's what we'll write for it. Again, I've always said, if you need a break, if you want your parents to help you, do that. If it makes you upset doing it, just skip to the next one and maybe come back later on in the day. Okay? Number 2. Let's finish reading. Number 2 is asking us, what natural events are described and explained in the myth? So there's some natural events, at least one Probably 2, but let's see. Thunderbird and Killer Whale fought for many days. At last, Killer Whale knew he could not win, and he swam away. Gradually, the fish returned and the people had food again. Ever since, the people had never forgotten how Thunderbird helped them. According to the story, Thunderbird's wings caused the sound of thunder. This is common in most Thunderbird myths. But this story seems to explain something else. Many researchers believe this story is about a tsunami or a tidal wave that struck the Pacific Northwest hundreds of years ago. Tsunamis are caused by earthquakes in the Earth's crust, deep beneath the ocean surface. The vibrations from the earthquake create waves, and if the earthquake is strong enough, these waves can form a tsunami. Tsunamis are very destructive when they strike land. It is no surprise that the survivors would mark the event with a myth like this. What 2 natural events happened? They're kind of both together. We could do that. There's 3 altogether. First one was he caused thunder, right? Write out thunder. You can write out the and sign. If you can't write out the and sign, just write A-N-D. Okay? Don't have to write out the and sign, just did it quick. The tsunami. Number 3. That's on the next page. So, what you have to do is once you're done with that, you're going to go past this page. Then the next page shows this. You're going to go past that page, and now we're on this one. Write a paragraph summarizing the excerpt. Does anyone know what summarizing means when you summarize something? I might ask you to summarize a movie, summarize a book, summarize what you did yesterday. Do you tell me exactly everything, piece by piece by piece? No. Typically, you just summarize. It's a smaller version. It's like a review of something. Okay? So, we need to figure out how we can summarize that question. What did the Thunderbird and whale do? Killer whale did what? Ate all the fish. Thunderbird did what? Tried to attack him. The thunder and tsunami occur. All the water recedes back from the land. All the land, the water eventually recedes back after it kills most of the people. And then vibrations from that cause the water come up, makes a tsunami, recedes back, and then the people survive and Killer Whale leave. So, let's see. This one's going to be a little bit longer. So let me erase this. Remember, guys, it's a video, so you can always rewind and go back. Or just pause it if you need to see it up there. Now I'm going to write in this. 3. Thunderbird attacks Killer Whale because he is being mean to the Can't fit it all, don't worry about it. You can go on the next page, or just listen to me as I do it. Write as much as you can, and whenever you get upset, or before you get upset, just stop, take your break. You don't have to write it all if you can't, okay? Try. At least give it a chance, and then if it gets you too mad, it's okay. Okay? Sorry, this doesn't look as good. states thunder and vibrations cause a phenomenon. Water proceeds back. Remember, that means that it went back. And people are happy. Now, I know it's a lot. You don't have to write it all if you can't. Try. Maybe you will. Maybe you enjoy writing all this. Okay? Some of us like writing, some of us do not. But that's all your work you got to do today. Tomorrow, we're going to try doing a persuasive essay. Maybe we'll do it during our Zoom meeting. We could do a little bit of that. See if we can persuade someone into it instead of writing it. Maybe we can discuss it on the Zoom meeting tomorrow. Hopefully, you guys can come to it. If you do and you can make it in, then you might not have to do as much writing. You do it in the Zoom meeting because then we can come up with something of what we can persuade each other into. Okay? But other than that, you guys have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.